Yes, my one viewer is going to be pissed off. So we use cosine law this time to find a side, right? Then when we did sine law, it didn't matter if we were finding a side or an angle, right? It didn't change, right? But in this one, cosine law only finds me a side. So what if I need to find an angle? Like, what if I told you this side was 52. And it's still PQC, or QPR. Yeah, I must have to isolate the C, right? So if this is the angle I need, I make that big C. No matter what the letters are. And I just go from there. But there's a problem here. Because I don't have a C there. So I have to isolate it. Now we could do this in two ways. We could do this like we were in grade 3 and fill in all these numbers and then work backwards. Or we could do what like your physics teachers and future profs and things would want you to do, which is rearrange this. Now there's a mistake that happens whenever kids rearrange this. Try to rearrange this to get C by itself. Do it somewhere where you've got some space, like over here, and do it in pencil in case you do it wrong. Or leave enough space to do it right in another spot. It's all right to feel like you did it wrong. That's kind of the point. I just told you. Everybody screws this up. What would somebody's first step be? You divided by C. Okay. Can somebody tell me something they did do?
Cos C equals A squared plus B squared minus 2AB minus C squared. And then to isolate C, I can do and I don't know how to say it, but the anticos and this way.
I know what you're saying.
Anticos of the right.
Yep. Okay. So what Ali is saying is at some point at the end, you're going to have to shift cos because we want the angle, right? Okay. I'm not too keen on the first part because I don't know if I'm hearing what you're saying properly. We need to get this isolated like this was isolated, yes? At the very end, we had to square root to get rid of that. So at the very end, we're going to shift cos to get rid of that. So really, we have to isolate cos C first. So knowing that, what would you do? James?
So you move A squared and B squared and negative 2AB.
C squared minus A squared minus B squared, right? Okay, and then what?
And then it would be, I think, plus 2.
So he wants to bring this over and say plus 2AB equals cos C. And I think that's what you were saying, right, Ali? Okay. Watch this. Put cos out of your head, put down your pencil, think in your brain. How would you solve that? Move the 7 over. Negative 5x would equal 10. X equals negative 2. Why does x equal negative 2? What did you do with 5? You moved it over. You divided by negative 5, right? Why did you divide by negative 5? There you go. It's the inverse of multiplication, yes? Now look back at the cosine law. At this spot right here. I moved that. Minus a squared, minus a squared. What math is all of that? Multiply. So what do? You divide. So this is actually divided by negative 2ab. And all that equals cos c. You had to divide somewhere. And then, of course, what will you do when you get this answer? Shift cos. Now, if you're good with your calculator, you can do it all in one step. But it usually takes a bit of practice. And since I know there's only one thing you guys hate more than actually coming to school, it's actually practicing at school. So I would recommend you do this in stages. Don't try to do it all in one shot. Right? So again, using these numbers in the formula, how would this look if I wrote it out? What would go in for C?
52 squared plus 20, or minus 28 squared minus 30 squared over negative 2, 28, 30.
And then all of that, you would shift cos. Everybody cool? Now I'm going to give you a chance to try it all in one shot right now. But first, on this page, I've put when you use which one. Okay, it's all in one spot. You've written it all down, but it's all there in one spot for you because a great many of you refuse to turn backwards in your book. So there it all is for you. Let's do this very first one together. Triangle ABC. AC is 10, BC is 11. Well, C is common to both of them, yeah? So let's go up to A. How long is that side? 20. Let's go up to B. How long is that side? 11. And angle ACB is 20 degrees. Everybody agree? I want to know AB, which we'll do in this color blue. And I want to know angle ABC. Right here. Right? I want that angle. I'll put a theta in there. So what are we going to use? Obviously, it's the cosine law page. We're going to do cosine law, right? And I'm going to find the side first. So, what should I write right here? Little c. No matter what the other corners are labeled, I should write little c there because that's the side I care about, right? So c squared equals, what do I write?
20 times cosine 20.
And then, now, if you're smart, this time, you'll punch that all into your calculator and get a number. Then you'll square root it. Or you can try flying too close to the sun on wings of the cosine law and try to punch it all in at once and see if you get the right answer. Go. I want to hear some right answers. You're going to go all at once?
Yeah.
You're so badass, Ashton. Go for it. You're so badass, Jacob. Go for it.
Well, if we round it up, you get 10.4. That seems right, though.
Let's hear some answers. I've heard 10.4. What else? 8.7. What else? Why do you assume you're wrong? What if you're right?
We're not very confident.
Between the two of you, you're averaging an A in this class.
Wait, between the two of us?
Well, that means one of you is getting an A and one is getting a B. The B is high enough the A is high enough to offset how high the B is and end up around 86. So, do I hear any other numbers other than 10.4 and 8.8, 8.7? It's 10.4. So what could I write right here?
10.4.
Now, in reality, of course, it's 10.36992.029, blah, 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 blah. We'll talk about that in a minute. Right now, we're going to round that off 10.4. Everybody cool? Now, does that give me a pair? So if I wanted to find this green theta here now, I could use sine law, couldn't I? Let's do so. So that would be, and I'll work that in green, 10.4 over sine 20, yes? Right?
Yeah.
Would equal what?
I would do sine x over 20, but or 20 over sine x. Either or.
20 over sine b, right?
Yeah.
Right? So it would be 20 sine 20 over 10.4 would equal sine b, right? So let's do that, and after you shift sign, tell me what b is. And everyone agrees? Everyone agrees? Okay. Everybody just failed. Still failed.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Why doesn't it make sense, Ashton?
Because if you had 41 right there, then like the top one would be like 119 or whatever, and that doesn't really add up.
The top would be 119, which would mean it would have to be across from the longest side. So it doesn't work. But it does work. Why doesn't it work? Well, it's telling me it's 41, yes? But what is it really? This is 41, so what is this really? 139. Right? Which makes this what? 21. Now that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because that side and that side are almost the same, aren't they?
Yeah.
Which means that's almost an isosceles triangle. And those angles are almost the same. Now the question becomes, why did you draw it that way then? Because the drawing is for what? Reference only. It still has to make sense at the end. The last thing you do still has to make sense. Everybody cool? Always check. What? Well, this is what the graph should look like.
So we just drew it. So then why do we get 41?
Because your calculator works in the first quadrant. Remember, we went over that. 41 and 139 have the exact same sign value. Good? Okay, turn the page over. What have I done to you here?
You gave the length, you changed it.
I changed letters. No need to be.
Yeah, honestly, we should just change it back. We should just beat the system and just change it before we do it.
You could do that too. RP, how long? 7. RQ. How long?
8.
PQ. How long?
10.
10. Calculate the measure of angle Q. Where is angle Q? Right here. So what do I need to call him now? C. Now we already know that cos C equals C squared minus A squared minus B squared. Is this order important?
Not really.
Is 10 minus 2 minus 4 the same as 10 minus 4 minus 2?
Yeah.
So this doesn't matter as long as C goes first. Over negative 2AB. Now before we go any further, let's stop for a minute. Convenient. What do you know about angles P and Q right now? Go for Myers. Okay. Get back.
And R is kind of the big difference.
They're what?
Well,
Q's the smallest angle, P is the second smallest angle, but what do you know about those two values if we were to find them? They're going to be very close in value, yes? All right. See you, Gervier. Okay. So now we have an idea of where we're heading, yes? And we should always do that. Then when you mash your fingers onto your calculator and it gives you an answer, like the last one, 41, you don't write it down and move on. Yeah? All right. So what's going in for C? 7 squared. What's going in for A? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Minus 2 times 8 times 10. And what am I going to have to do at the very end? Shift cos. Inverse cos. Try and do it in one shot. But most of you, this one's really hard to enter in one crack on your calculator. Doing the shift cos right away. I'd be interested to see if anybody can get it.
Yeah, 44. Shut up. Okay.
I have a 44. Anybody else? Yeah. So if you have trouble with this, getting it in one shot, is this calculator 11? No, of course not. Just do it piece by piece. Just do the top. 49 minus 64 minus 100. Right? Get a number. Over negative 160. Then do your cos, shift cos. There's no benefit grade-wise or knowledge-wise to be able to punch it all in at once, all right? But it is 44, right? Now, that makes that 44, which means that must be pretty close to 44, right? Which would mean this would be pretty close to 90, right? Right? Well, let's check. What's 7 squared? 49. What's 8 squared? What's 49 plus 64?
I'm just really tired. 113.
113. What's the square root of 113? Don't! Pretty close to 10. Halfway between 10 and 11. So it's pretty close to a 90-degree triangle, right? And if that's 44, and that's pretty close to 44, that's pretty close to 90, so that's pretty close to 90, so we did it right. Everybody understand? Now let me ask you this. Why, we're doing cos law, why do I have to remember all that other crap? Why wouldn't you? What have I been saying from the beginning of this, the first minute of this class? Everything is needed in almost every question, right? Okay. I want, yes.
So, like, for sine law and cosine law, it doesn't matter what's A, B, or C.
Nope.
Just so
Oh.
it has to be like
Everything makes so much more sense now.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Because I'm just dumb.
All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, a great many of my students, and I didn't realize how bad this question was. It used to be on a test. But like 3/4 of my students think that the WestJet jet is 34,450 kilometers away. Of course it's 50 kilometers away. That's not how we write 34,450. I know that, and you know that. But,
I thought you just like forgot his zero.
yeah, the WestJet plane is circling the moon.
That would be kind of.
So anyway, there's a tower. Where's the WestJet flight? Oh, actually, no. Stop for a sec. Draw a line right there. And over here, draw the coordinate grid. But don't put X and Y on it. We can work with this, yeah? In this unit, we started here, right? Right? And we went there, or there, or there, or there, or there, or there, and we counted, yeah? That's 0, so that's like 60, right? That's like, 150. That's like 210. That's like, 300, or 260. That's like 300. That's like 315, right? Everybody's cool with that, yeah? Okay. In real life, what other structure that we use, construction that we use, uses 4 points like that? Compass, northeast, southwest. But here's the problem. Where do we start counting on a compass?
0,
North. And we count with directions to the right. Never eat soggy wieners, says my friend Jacob. Now, in trig, we start here, and that's 90 degrees, yes? Right? In directions, we start here and go that way. So east is what? 90 degrees. You hear it on TV shows. The plane was on a 90-degree bearing. What does that mean? It's going straight east. Everybody cool? That's the easy one. So if I told you I was going on a heading of, and I can't remember which is heading and which is bearing. I'm sorry. If I told you I was going on a heading of 49 degrees, and this was my desk right now, that's north. Even though that's not really north, the way I'm drawing it, that's north. Who would I be walking towards? Who? Yeah, over there, right? If I was going at a heading of 49 degrees, right? Everybody cool? I would go down here till I'd gone through 49 degrees and I would walk that way. Everybody good? Okay. There's 49. At whom would I be walking if I was going 280 degrees?
just a little bit northwest.
I'd be walking right over here, kind of at Hina and Indigo. What did I say, 290? 280. Everybody cool? Now, here's what makes this yucky. If I'm going to do trig here, I need to either have this angle. Oops, I'll change color. I'll use 2 different shades of blue. That angle or that angle. What is light blue theta there? That's the 49. What is dark blue theta? What? 41. Why? because the whole thing is 90. Don't say reference angle or you'll get stuck in...
49's the reference.
Don't say reference angle, right? Unless it helps you in your head, right? Okay, so what about over in the pink here? What would be dark pink theta? And what would be... it's kind of the same. What would be dusty pink theta? What would dark pink theta be? 10. What would dusty pink theta be? 80. Everybody cool? Now, why is this important? Because if you're following directions on a map or you're doing air sea rescue or something like that, where this path goes afterwards is important, right? Because if you have to turn right up here, then you're going to be dealing with dark pink theta, right? If they went over here, you're going to be dealing with the hotter pink theta. Everybody cool? Everybody can do this? It's easy, right? Well, it's easy until they tell you the other way they measure directions. And if you were in my grade 10 class, we spent quite a bit of time on this, but if you weren't, it's a little bit of a hassle. The other way we write it is this. Direction, adjustment, direction. So it would be something like this. North 49 east. Actually, we wouldn't say north 49 east. We would say north 42 east. And what that means is if none of this was here, what direction would I walk if I started right here? I would go straight up there, right? But I didn't go straight up there. I adjusted 42 degrees. Now, I could adjust 42 degrees that way or 42 degrees that way. Which way did I adjust, the green or the gold? Green, because I adjusted to the east. Everybody cool? So I actually walked over here. There's 42. What's this going to be? 48. Everybody cool? Now, I started and I made a mistake here because I said north 49 east, right? Why should I not say north 49 east? It would still go to the east, but what is this right there halfway? 45, right? So normally we try not to say the adjustment is over 45 degrees, right? If I wanted to go north 49 east, that would be here just past 45, right? But that is better written as east. What would this be? 41 north. But they're the same thing. Is everybody cool? Yeah? So what if I told you I wanted to walk south 7, we'll make it easier first. South 15 east. Where would that line be?
It would be on the right. It would be on the fourth quadrant, I think. Yeah.
I would start south, but did I actually go south? I adjusted 15 degrees. Did I adjust to the east or the west? East. So where would the line be? Fourth quadrant. What would this be? 15. What would this be? 75. What is the other way I could write this pink line if I started east? What would it be? 75 south. Everybody cool? All right, so now let's come back to here. None of that really matters here, but it will matter later on, okay? There's the tower. Where is Flight 344, the WestJet flight?
50 kilometers
East. So straight out here, there's WestJet. 50. Jazz is 25K from the tower. I don't say where it is. I don't have a lot of room up here, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw it down here. Jazz. How far is that? 25. And this is the type of thing that Air Traffic Patrol, Air Sea Rescue, Marine Patrol, the people that bring the ferries in to Tawasin and whatever, the computers do this, but I do all my math on a computer, don't I? Does it always work? No. People doing these jobs still got to know how to do it. So the angle between the two is 20 degrees. How far apart are they? And why would this be important? If the planes were really flying, there's a certain distance that they have to maintain apart from them and all the other planes. So this is the type of thing that these guys and ladies can do still in their heads a little bit. Do you think they're doing it to this level? Or do they think they're doing like what we were talking about? Oh, well, they're almost the same, 7, 8, 9, so those have to be almost the same. So which one do you think they're doing? The guessy one in their heads if something goes wrong.
I thought they were actually.
No.
What if they guessed like a little bit off?
Well, the computer's there to help, right? If the computer goes down, that's what I'm saying. They still have to be able to do it. All right, so I need this side, yes? I want to know how far apart the planes are. So what do I make that?
C.
Little c. And then I just fill it in. C squared. Actually, I'm going to be lazy. C equals the root of what?
Honestly, that's not really lazy though. It's just extra work because we still have to put the square. I'm just gonna shut up.
You do what you want, buddy.
No, you still put the square.
A squared plus B squared.
Not worth it at all. Just saying.
I write it there so I don't screw it up. And I write it there so when my fat fingers punch in the buttons wrong, my teacher who's marking will know what I meant to do. Hint, hint.
How about starting?
Yes.
Oh yeah, it started all night.
Nice diversion.
What's the answer? 27.9? Does anybody agree? Do I have corroboration?
Just 1 second.
I hate having to punch this in myself.
Yeah, 175. 175.8.
I get 27.9 as well.
Oh, wait. Yeah, 175. Okay, and. Oh, no, I know what I did. Oops.
Are we happy?
Yeah.
Okay. Now turn the next page. I did something mean to you guys here, but we don't have enough time for me to finish the joke. If you draw this triangle, ship A, ship B, well, the screen should be on. Why didn't? How long's it been blue?
Just like that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no. The power turned off. We're going to have to leave early. Oh, no.
From the harbor. Ship A is 13, ship B is 24, and they are 10% apart, 10 kilometers apart, right? I want to know the angle they're traveling away from each other. That makes this big C, yes? Now, if I actually got you to draw that triangle, it would come out impossible. I used to have this question, a multiple choice question on the test. A, B, C, D, and D was the triangle can't exist. And kids would do the work, and they would end up with 650 over 624. And they would say, well, that's, what, huh? Cos C would equal that. Isn't that more than 1?
Yeah.
Cos is never allowed to be more than 1. And kids wouldn't circle D. They wouldn't say it was an impossible triangle. So I'm just going to change this slightly. And I'm going to say these guys are 20 kilometers apart. And now let's do the work. I need this angle, so cos C stays there. What goes in the fraction? Minus 13 squared minus 24 squared over negative 2 times what? Not 13 squared. And then try to do it all in one shot. Don't be a hero, Jacob. If you can't, it's no big deal.
It just means you can't work the calculator and deal with grade.
You're mean, dude.
It does nothing except bring shame to my family.
Yeah, I'm sure Mr. and Mrs. Rankin are at home. Oh no! Jacob keeps screwing up with his calculator. How embarrassing. 56 degrees. Can you do it all in one shot? All right. Jacob, everybody else, since you guys want to be able to do it all in one shot, here you go. Everybody watching? Shift, cos, right? Now, because it's division and there's contained operations, I got to do a new bracket for the top. 20 squared minus 13 squared minus 24 squared, close brackets, divided by a new bracket, negative 2, not subtract 2, times 13 times 24, close brackets on the bottom, close brackets on the whole thing, because it's all been shift coast. 56.4. Let's go. All right, now, listen please. This bottom drawing here, remember how I said we want our answers as exact as possible, right? Okay, so watch. If I have this green triangle, oh wait, sorry. I'm trying to find this height, yes? Which means I have to work with this triangle, yes? Can I find that height right now? No, because to do SOHCAHTOA, I need an angle on the side, right? I can't measure this side because of the fence, and I can't fly up there. So this side is useless to me. But I can measure this triangle, can't I? Right? Now some of you will say, how? I don't have enough information. But I do, don't I? Because what is this angle right here? I know. What is this angle right here? 100. Why?
Because 180 minus 31.
Right? Because 180 minus 31. Everybody cool? Now, we're going to do something here, but I don't want anyone to touch their calculator, okay? Hands off, Jacob. What do I know in this pink triangle here? If this is or blue triangle. If that's 18, that's 149. Do I know this one up here? What is it? No touching your calculator. Mr. Myers, you're making us subtract? We're only in the 11th grade. Oh my God. 13. There we go. Now, can we do the sine law here?
It works.
What would the sine law be? 20 over sine 13 would equal
X
x, because this is the side we need, over what?
Sine of 18.
Sine 18, right? And then we would tidy this up, and we would get 20 sine 18 over sine 13 would equal x, right? And now Jacob is getting twitchy because he wants his calculator. Jacob, I will let you use your calculator, just you right now. Tell me what x is.
This is some math trick.
It's not a trick. Just tell me what x is.
27.4 or 0.5.
Is it?
I don't think so now, but that's what I got.
It is 27.4. But it's 27.474153.9. Now stop for a minute. Just stop for a minute. Is that number 27.47141539 exact? No, it's filled up the whole calculator screen, right? And what do you people do the second your calculator screen fills up? You round it off. 90% of the time you round it off wrong. Jacob just said 27.4 and then he changed his mind.
I said 5 right after.
Right
I
after.
said 4, and then I saw the 7, so I said 5.
Okay, all right, fine. Everybody, you all want to write 27.5 here, don't you?
Yes.
You want to. You desperately want to. Don't. Because that's not the answer we seek, is it? What is the answer we seek? H, right? Now, isn't H part of this right angle triangle? And isn't the sine of 31 equal to H, this H, over X? Isn't it? Because X is this hypotenuse, isn't it?
We're going to do it all in one thing.
That X could be right there, couldn't it? What's X? Don't say 27.5.
20 sine 18 over sine 13.
It's this, right? So isn't sine 31 equal to H over 20 sine 18 over sine 13? Isn't it? Now, when I divide by a fraction, what do I really do? Multiply the reciprocal, right? So doesn't sine 31 equal H times sine 13 over 20 sine 18? Is everybody still with me algebraically? Just wait. Just wait. I told you I'm going somewhere. Now what do we do to get rid of this? Multiply both sides. So I'm going to have 20 sine 18 there. And now this is gone, yes? It's not. Trust me. Now how do I get rid of this? Divide by sine 13. And now I have H with the best possible answer. Now I go to my calculator, so I'm not rounding stuff off in the middle. Now some of you will say, as Jacob has said, this is pointless. As Ali has said, why do you make it so hard? Because this, ladies and gentlemen, is where you need to get to if you are going further in math class. None of your professors are going to do this problem with a bunch of rounded off numbers in the middle. And I will tell you why. Later on, why do you think we do math with all these little tiny stupid numbers?
I didn't think that is the pointless part. I just meant like you didn't have to just like flip the fraction of everything. You just literally.
Yes, you could have. Yes, you could have. But I like to reinforce algebra with you guys because your algebra is not where it should be. If you do trig and you round it off over a short distance, does it matter? Does it matter? I'm running a wire from my house to the telephone pole out front when I build the house. If I'm off by a millimeter, does it matter? Not at all. Right? What if I'm running that wire across the Atlantic Ocean, where there are wires running on the bottom of the ocean, and you are off by a millimeter at the beginning? What's going to happen when you move 8 million millimeters? 8 billion millimeters to go that far. How far are you going to be off? Quite a bit. So get yourself used to this, because that is what, if you're planning to go further, that's what it's going to be like. Like, for example, when you watch The Big Bang Theory and you see all the whiteboards filled with numbers, there's no rounding there. They leave it like this till the very, very end. Okay? Now, for me, do you think it really matters? If you wrote 27.5 there and put that there, and put that there, and did 27.5 sine 31 to equal h, is that going to be okay?
Yeah, it gives you pretty much the exact same.
Exactly. It does. But I would be derelict in my duties as a math teacher to not explain that this is what's going to happen in the future. Okay? Now let's be honest. If you're not going to be a mathematician and you're not going to send a rocket ship to Pluto, does it really matter about rounding this off here? Of course not. But I want you to see what you'll do later on. Because later on, that's going to be your answer if you go further in math or physics. Okay? No, math. In physics, you would go to the decimal. But in a best world, you wouldn't go with 27.5. You do this on your calculator. Is everybody cool? Yeah. All right. Do some work from these textbook pages. Now look, how important is doing all of these ones? Not that important, right? If you know what you're doing, right? Now, again, I forgot to give the answers. I forgot to put the answers in here, but you should be okay. Make sure you try a few of the word problems. Now, I've got a crap ton here. But again, there's lots of words and lots of pictures. If you think you're good to go, see if you can sort out the extends. That's when you know. If you can even draw these and get started, you're on a good track. All right? Tomorrow, we'll go over some of these, and you will have an assignment on sine law and cosine law that is in your book. That is for marks. It will be due Friday morning. All right? Now, a bunch of you are going to skip all these textbook questions right now, go straight to the assignment. If you do that and you have to ask me for help, I'm not going to be happy. Because the reason you ask me for help is you haven't practiced enough. Right? If you're willing to try it, go ahead. I don't care. We will be... Oh, here's the other thing. The other class... and I gave them this option, and they haven't decided yet. The other class is leaning towards this. We're running out of time because of that extra unit. Gentlemen, this applies to you. Shut it. It's like I'm not even talking. Why does Myers yell so much? Well, because nobody effing listens to him. We are running short on time. We have 3 days next week. And then you people are Block D, right?
Yeah.
So you'll be Yeah, you people, not me.
No, every time you say it, I say that too.
Yes, because you people are looking at Tuesday the 28th to be writing a final exam because you're Block D, your last block. Now, the other class, right now, in the classroom, they were leaning this way. They didn't want me to put test questions for trig on the final if they didn't have a chance to write a trig test first. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what they want to do, because your final will not take 3 hours. Your final's like 40 multiple choice questions and 10 open-ended. They wanted to take the first 45 to an hour of their last block that morning and do a trig test, mark it and go over it. And then start their final. So they aren't going into a trig test without having some test level questions. And then, of course, if you finish your final early, you leave before lunch. If you need more time, the full block bumps into lunch anyway.
So instead, can we maybe get like I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud, but maybe like a review of every single thing, but a larger trig section. Like we could go over that trig section before our exam. We get like a
Just like a work package.
we get a whole work package.
Yeah,
You have a work package.
In the very back.
Yeah,
And you have a review in the very back with everything except inequalities. They're not in that review.
and then go over the trig section until we're hopefully comfortable, and then just do the exam part of it maybe.
So you don't want to write a trig test.
I'm thinking it might hurt me anyway more than help me.
There's still trig on the final.
I know, but now but then I won't have a trig section. It'll just affect my final grade. I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking.
We can talk about it later, but that's one of the options on the table. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Ashton just made a point that, and I'm glad he made it because the earlier I can make it, the better. Your books have a year review package at the end of it with answers, I believe, on the last 2 pages. But these books were printed before the inequalities section was added. So I got no review questions for you on inequalities. But you have the whole section in your book that a great many of you didn't do all of. And you have your cumulative that has a bunch of inequality questions on it. Okay? Is your hand up or what?
What are all the options for
You either write a trig test on the day of your final in the morning and we go over it, or you don't write a trig test at all and you go into your final writing test level trig questions without any practice.
Is there any way you can give us test level trig questions before?
They're close to these. That's why I keep telling you, look at the extend questions and look at the word problems.
I feel like if we can go over this, that might be good enough, but that's just me. But
We got a few days. Finance doesn't take long. What? How could you do the test the day before the exam? That depends on how well we get through finance. You can figure it out amongst yourselves. I'll take a vote. I don't care. It's less marking for me.
It's like, yeah, now I
You are in the block the whole morning from 8:30 or from 8:10 till 11. Yes, Allie. We're going to do finance. We're not going to do as much in there as there is. I can't remember. Very little.
and there's going to be no finance test anymore.
What?
Is there a finance test or
I'll give you a sheet.
is way down by its own
I mean, like,
Right now,
it's gonna be so varied anyways that if you just bought, if you only own one thing, it's not gonna really
Yeah, that's why I don't want to.